guys? Hope everybody is well this morning. Had a great weekend. First, yeah, good for you, man. Raul is first, was first. Good morning, man. Good morning, good morning. All right. Let me share my screen. All right. Screen on. Live. So, hope you guys had a good weekend. Enjoyed. It's going to be like 30 plus degrees out here today, and next day feels like we're in the middle of the desert, right? So we just gotta chill and relax, not do much. Yeah, exactly. Glad we had AC installed like last year, I think. It was like, yeah. So I'm just sitting. We'll keep sitting inside. That's better, but yeah. It's going to be hot outside. Couple of days, but that's good. We won't. Yeah. 32 feeling like 35. Yeah, then it's just 35, right? But nah. Yeah, exactly. Same with Dutch people. Like we always moan when it rains and it's cold. We want it to be hot, and when it's hot, it's too hot, and we want it to be we want it to be cold. We always moan. I think it's just well, we don't differ that much, Dutch and English people, British people. Yeah. Just moan. We're just moaning, man, all day. All right. So yeah. I think I still need to talk through last week's trade. Yep. So let me bring that up. Well, let us first look at that trade I posted this morning, and it's now going back to entry. I'm still watching this. Why? Because well, let me first replay it and then tell you why the trade was. Even though Bitcoin was at like not a really nice level, it was falling down to 200 EMA. But I think sometimes you need to distinguish, especially if you work on lower time frames or trade lower time frames. You gotta distinguish the weak coins against the strong coins. And of course, if Bitcoin moves down, it usually takes a lot of coins with it. But if you look at Bitcoin before this move, it was really dropping, and a lot of alts, if you look at different alts, they were dropping also. And as you can see here, ARB had a strong day yesterday, even before Bitcoin. So that means there is momentum on a coin. So that could make you more confident to look for a long if it lines up, right? And this lined up perfectly. I'll tell you, this area is the golden pocket from this last move up. We had a trend line with multiple touches. If you take the trend line from here, and you see this last candle that formed a doji and then bounced and swept the 50 EMA, which was above the 200 EMA, so bullish for me. And then we just had that good reaction that we're looking for. We had that 3-bar reversal form with volume. So as you see here, that's why this is showing up as a green candle, which means this reversal ticks all the boxes that I look for. But sadly enough, the bounce here was good, but sadly enough, we did not see the retest on the first or the second candle, or the first couple of candles, and then it just decided to move up, right? I was also looking at this. This was the 1 hour candle, which was like showing strength against the rest. So basically, best spot, A+ setup, but lacking the retest for, how do you say it, the retest for an entry. And again, these kind of things can make you chase trades because you think, oh, I'm right, it's bouncing up, maybe I should enter here and still make some money. But that is basically, well, what we don't do. We trade a disciplined, rule-based system in which I never enter at market, I never chase trades, so I wait until it comes back. And sometimes that stings because, well, there will be trades, and we will get to those points that we will see trades like actually bounce off. How do you say it? Just bounce above. But does that mean you need to front run? In my case, no, because the data suggests that there's always enough other trades, and that most trades, so biggest percentage, do hit entry on the high of the first bar or the low of the first bar, depending on short or long. So let's exit replay, see where we at right now. And like I said, I'm still looking for maybe a new setup. I'm not looking to enter this 3-bar reversal because, like I said, we had that impulse move. We almost hit full TP, so we hit 2.5 R without entry. So yeah, that's definitely a reason to cancel. Because as you can see here, we have a high here, and now we have well, looks to be forming a lower high on a higher time frame, as you can see here. So we had this big 1 hour candle with a lot of volume, bullish, and now we have this candle pulling back. Now if we look, or if we zoom in, let's get this out of the way. Let's keep this fact that we had swept the lows here. We have this trend line still here, and we have the 50 EMA here. And now, well, basically we had some sideways movement. If you look at lower time frames, you could say there was a change of character here because we made a low, so high, lower, lower, low. Now we broke to the upside, but you gotta keep this a little bit in mind that, well, for actually continuation, you want to see break this high. But in this move alone, if you look back at where the golden pocket lies, that's here, that's just above. So a sweep below and a sweep of the 50 EMA with a 3-bar reverse form could still be an option, but not A+++ as this first setup here. So we just watch. We'll remove everything for now, and we'll just put it back into the list. Let me see, because I have to look for. Let's see, where is. I'll get you guys the trade we did last Friday, was it? I guess Friday morning on ADA. Let's get back to that point. Sunday. Or better, let me just show you guys the P&L. It's easier. Give me a second, because I wanna. Here it is. All right, can you guys see this? Yeah, of course, you can probably see this. Let's get back into the chat. I'm not seeing you guys type. All right, so this was Friday's trade we took. Again, rule-based system, of course, always a 3-bar reversal. What happened here is that we had like sort of sideways movement. We moved down, and then we had this wick with sellers stepping in, and it showed us, well, the 3-bar reversal here. Now I have a setting, I must say I changed it over the weekend, that I think it was set to 8 bars or 6 bars, that a 3-bar reversal needs to make a high, basically a high over the last X candles. So in this case it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I think it was still set to 8. I highered it a little bit just to tweak it for now, but it made a high here, and it showed volume to the downside. Now this was a tricky one, especially these kind of trades. If you keep looking at it, you'll see that we how do you say it? We touched almost stop loss, then we went down eventually, and I was looking at this to close it, because as you know, if I have a confirmed close above the 50 EMA, I like to close my trades as an invalidation. So what happened here is that we had this first move up above the 50 EMA, which almost like stopped us out. Then we had them move back down, and then we closed up, or we closed on the 50 EMA, which still shows me, okay, there's still sellers and buyers fighting. Then we had a close below, then we had a close on the 50 EMA again, and then a close above. So we never had 2 consecutive strong closes above 50 EMA. So that was why I didn't cancel it. Then we had to move down. We almost hit TP1, but we did not. I think this was the moment when we saw this back up that I moved my stop loss to 0.5, and eventually we did had, as you can see here again, we bouncing off the 50 EMA, and then we had that big drop, eventually hitting TP2 in one straight line, and this is where you see sellers getting exhausted, buyers stepping in, and eventually I think it did go back again to TP2 once, but then eventually it got up. So it was a good exit. TP2 was good taken, and well, again, plus 125R. I messed up on that one, guys, with putting, I'm not sure why, I'm still figuring it out. I think there is a little checkbox that says use TP on all open positions, so maybe I checked that as accidentally, right? Accidentally. Anyways, eventually took out 1R for myself, and if you followed exactly the trade, it was like 1.25R. Let's have a glance at the charts. Again, a lot of coins are between the 15200 EMA. This was the signal we called, and again, as you can see, here's a 50 EMA, so we'll need to wait and see if we can get a reaction out of this or not. But most coins are like struggling either between the 250 EMA or just like around there, that area. So again, I only like to trade above or below for most, especially with the indicator I use now. I have the RSI indicator, which is like not taking into account the EMAs, but for the challenge I like the one indicator better, so we'll just stick to that going forward. This is interesting. As you can see, CRV did have a great move up, got into overbought territory, and had a big sell-off. And we have a 1 hour fair value gap here, and we have the 15 and 200 EMA coming together. We did see a sweep on the 4 hour, but I have these two set just to see in a glance what the price action on the higher time frame is. But here, this could be well worth to have an eye on. We broke below this low, and of course, if you going to look at the golden pocket of this whole move, that's a bit higher, but we could see an initial reaction of this 15 and 200 EMA to the downside. So, well, all we do is have to wait to see where we're going next. And like I said, the rest is all, most of are between the 15200 EMA. We have link here. Never trust that weekend pump. We talked about it, or we say that sometimes. We hear to say to never trust the weekend pump. Why? Because usually what you see on the moves in the weekend, institutional buyers are not there. So the move is usually made on lower volume. And low volume, well, if there's less volume, if there are less orders, it's easier to move prices. So basically, the legit moves are the moves in price that are backed by volume. And if you look at the amount of volume during a weekend, that's usually less than during the week. So if you do see a move like this during the weekend, again, it makes it easier to move price because there's lower volume, there's less orders, there's no institutions active, so there's no institutional trading. And that's why a lot of times you see a pump over the weekend, making a CME gap, and then, well, retracing into that after the weekend or on Mondays, or even going lower. Same with Link here. Well, we had a lot of time hovering above and trading in between. Then we had this big impulse move, and now we had a big sell-off. So we had the Sunday night pump, and the Sunday evening pump into the Monday sell-off. Now back above or back below the 15200 EMA. As you can see, 50 EMA moving down. So interesting to see how today pans out. As you can see, for a lot of coins, we had some Sunday night fun, but eventually everything got sold off. And I think Sherlock posted this morning, right, his idea on where Bitcoin is possibly heading, to the 106k area to look for longs there. Still bullish. Well, and I think what we need to see this week is that breakout of the others' dominance, and, well, a breakdown further on USDT. If we look at Bitcoin higher time frame, 106 area is also, as you can see, is an area with a lot of resistance, or was a lot of resistance, and finally we broke above. So a retest of this area here is basically a good one, which is also the 4-hour 50 EMA. So I like what happened here. We had the move, basically the deviation below 15 to 200 EMA, and now we're reclaiming it. I do want to see a touch of this. So yeah, that could be that 106 area, 106k. But for now, honestly, we need to wait. It feels like we have been in this area forever, right? And that we just need to wait for the real move. Well, to start. And I haven't looked into it much, but what Sherlock said, that there have been people posting about Bitcoin being held down by exchanges, in this case maybe Binance. It does feel like that if you look on lower time frame, like every move up gets met by strong sellers, and then every little move down gets bought up again. So we're basically hovering in this big goddamn range, and what we need to see happen, and what we want to see happen, is just to move out of this. As you can see here, we basically have been range bound for a long time now. Last week, and if you look on higher time frame, we're still just playing the range here. So this whole block here. So eventually we want to see a move out or a move down. Well, we want to see the move out, right, to the upside. So but yeah, summer is upon us, holiday season, or well, not holidays, summer holiday season, right? So yeah, usually over the summer there's a lack of volume, less volume, and it's well possible we could see like prolonged, although there is people, or there is talk about we're going to see, maybe this time we're going to see the move over the summer because it's different, usually different than what majority thinks. But all we can do is just, well, go week by week and see what happens, right? So yeah, basically that is it about, well, the charts and what we need to look for, or what we, well, are waiting for. I'm just keeping my eyes out on potential setups, but as long as nothing gets flagged, well, we'll have to wait and sit back and well, see what happens. I do think there's still a possibility this gets filled and bounces, but I would be wary of it, well, basically because of Bitcoin at the moment. So yeah, what I found out looking back at 3-bar reversals that form and get this instant move up is that at some point they will get retested, but it makes it, probability is less that it will play out because you already had this big move. Just ask for yourself if you ever had a trade that moves, that doesn't fill and then moves to 2R and goes back to your entry. Will you take it again? If you were in that trade, you will probably have already taken profits and put your stop loss to entry. So all these things you gotta take into account when building, well, the strategy you're building, the way you want to trade, and having TP management in check. It's not only about entries, and it's not only about how do I enter a trade, it's also about how can I be able to well, do the same thing over and over again, and when is an entry invalidated if it's not hit. That's nice, and that's what the courses are for, right, man? I mean, yeah, I think, again, and we, like when I talk about knowledge, I always say it's not, I don't think we need to overcomplicate and you need to have as much knowledge as you can get. But if you do have I think the basis or the basic knowledge can definitely give you the right tools to build on and to, well, learn from yourself. And again, what I say is when we get on that trading journey, we're always at a point that we think, okay, I gotta learn more and I gotta know about this and I gotta know about that. And I find that the same now that I'm like sharing more of the way I trade, that people ask me, okay, so yeah, how, what's your confluences and how does this indicator work and can I use this indicator? And basically what I say for now, though, as it's, well, still kind of new for me, I'm not putting it out there. I might someday in the future, but I want to have more data and more backtests, and I want to use this with you guys. But at the same time, I think a lot of those people asking for that are also people that see somebody doing well or better than them for their feeling, and they say, okay, if I'm going to use that, I will be profitable too. But it has to be, in my opinion, it has to be your process to get to the point that you have a strategy or a way you trade that, well, is really your strategy. And I think that's the hardest part. I've been going through this whole process for 4 years now, 3 to 4 years, and I'm honestly still not at the point where I want to be, because we got to keep growing and we got to keep getting better and well, developing. But it took me a couple of years to get to the point to say, okay, all this knowledge that I gathered, what does that give me if I don't or not able to trade mechanically, for example? And for me, I found out that overcomplicating things, or having too much knowledge on the chart, knowing too much, and taking everything into account, taking ideas of others into account, would not make me a profitable trader. Let's say, for example, this morning, the trade, while I was looking at that setup forming and was writing out the signal, Sherlock posted about him seeing Bitcoin going back down to 106K, right? So imagine yourself being in that position that you're looking for a long trade, and then another pro trader that you maybe look up to, or that has a good track record, tells you, yeah, Bitcoin's going down. God damn it, I'm looking for a long. And I had that like microsecond of the thought of, okay, should I then go on with this? Nah, it fits my, yeah, I should go on with this. Why? Because it fits my strategy, it fits the way I trade, and it fits my bias for now, regarding ARB, ARB, that it was strong and that it, exactly. But a lot of people don't take that into account. And they let themselves influence by other people, even if people are looking at the daily. It doesn't matter. It's not about my exact situation or example. What it's about is that there will also be people who are also looking at the daily time frame and say, okay, I'm about to long this, for example, and then get called off by themselves because they see somebody else saying, yeah, okay, I'm going short here. But again, for every short, there has to be a long, and for every long, there has to be a short. And if it fits the way you trade, and if you have that profitability in the long run, and you have your back-tested data, your forward-tested data, and your data that tells you, if I do this trade enough times, then I'll be profitable. And that's basically what you do need to do, or that's basically you stick to your own plan. We always say, trade the plan, plan the trade, and stick to it, and don't get everything else in it because it was never part of your strategy. If that daily bias is not part of your strategy, and somebody puts out his daily bias is bearish, but it's not part of your strategy, you should disregard it. And I think that, but at the same time, that is the hard part. The confidence you need to start having in your own strategy, and that's why it's so important. That's why it's so important to gather data, because the more data you have, the more confident you can be that in the long run, you'll be, how do you say it? You'll be profitable. I'm going for this week, going back over 3 months on the coins that I trade during my trading sessions, and see what setups formed using the indicator, the latest tweaked indicators, to see, okay, if I take in a 3-month time period, if I take every trade, by the way, and that's not always possible, but if I take every trade in between a certain time, what's the outcome? And by doing that, and that takes time and that takes a lot of work, but by doing that, you start to get confident, because you can say, okay, I do take losses, but my wins outweigh my losses by far. So I'll let you know the outcome of that. Yeah, for the rest, like I said, I will be looking out for some trades, morning spot, because, well, there's not much to do right now. Then just sit in here and we don't go much outside probably today. So yeah, that is regarding, well, the trades and where we are at the moment. Is there any other topic you guys want me, or any other questions you guys want me to go over, or was there something that I should have talked about that I forgot? Because, well, I'm getting old, right? Forgetting stuff and all those kind of things. CRV, like I said, we're still not sweeping here. This is the 1 hour time frame and the 4 hour time frame. So the last 10 candles, last 10 bars of the 1 hour time frame, and the last 10 bars of the 4 hour time frame. Shows it. Sometimes it's well, it helps you because sometimes I'll try to take and not on this 1 to 3 risk to reward ratio for the challenge, but I do also have another account where I sometimes do take trades on, and the 1 hour could be a good overview for, okay, are we also, like for example, bullish, or where are my TPs and where should my stop loss, etc., etc. So that's okay, mate. Have a great day. Have a great day. So it's easy. I think it gives you a quicker overview of. No, it's the ICT 8 higher time frame candles by Fadi. It's a nice one because you can like have every time frame on there that you want with the amount of bars, and you can change. Well, you can change a lot of things. And what I like about this one is if I do go to the 12 hours, they're gone, so they won't show. And if I go to the 1 hour, only the 4 hour shows. Well, and yeah, and then you can also have lower time frames. So it's an easy to use indicator that I really, really like. Just to give you an instant glance of, okay, what's high time frame price doing. Can I go over how you add in support and resistance lines? That's good to hear, Peter, man. That's good to hear. Claire. Support and resistance. Well, basically, again, support and resistance. Let's just talk about a little bit about support and resistance. Support and resistance, of course, just an area usually. So now some people will try to use. Let's go to a high time frame. I think. Let's see a little bit. So some people just use wicks and use the line. So you can have here like this trend line, and what they then do is just, well, look at an area where price touches that line a lot of times. So if you can see here, this wick goes down, and if you then draw it all the way to the right, you'll see that we have a bounce here, we have a bounce, and we have a bounce, then we have a sweep, then we got below, and then we bounced here, then we got a bounce here, and then eventually we broke above, well, we broke below. So you can consider this an area of interest. Now, some people use trend lines, but again, it's not an exact price, it's an area. So if you use a rectangle, and you go to this first wick, for example, then you can draw it all to the right. You can say, okay, I use the bodies as resistance or support. And then you can color this square or rectangle. So you can color it whatever color you want. This is on 0 opacity, so it doesn't show. You can, well, like I said, you can color it any way you want, and if you make it a little bit opaque, you'll see the bars through it. So support and resistance, drawing support and resistance is basically drawing a line where a lot of price movement is, because if it moves below that area, it usually acts as resistance if it moves above. So you can always also see here, we had this price movement, we had price movement here, we had price movement here, and then if we go back, we had a lot of price movement here. So if we make this even longer, and we go to this area, you'll also see that we had price bouncing off. So it was support here, was still support here, and then it acted as resistance now. So basically look at a chart and see where a lot of wicks and bottoms are. That usually gives you support and resistance. Now I do think there is also support and resistance indicators. For example, this one. Oh no, I don't like this one, by the way. Channels. Oh yeah. I only have essential, guys. I can only have 5 indicators. Let's get this out of the way. Which, in my opinion, is more than enough, because, well, you don't need a lot of indicators. But as you can see, this one shows you different areas as our channel. Well, you could tweak it to not show as much. It shows you 6, but basically uses indicators to understand and to learn support and resistance. So basically, support is an area where price bounces off a lot, and resistance is an area where price rejects a lot. And again, with support and resistance, the same with a lot of things in trading, is there is no actually one good way to trade it or to draw it, because I use my EMAs as support and resistance. Trend lines are diagonal support and resistance areas. So again, there is just not, and that you just got to understand support and resistance area where price bounces a lot of and rejects a lot of, and that's what you want to draw out on the chart. And I think if you look on lower time frames, for example, you'll see that there is an area here where price rejected off a lot of times, starting with this here. But if I go to the bodies and then you look at this, we had this wick here, so bounce or rejection, 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 deviation, deviation meaning moving above a little bit and then immediately moving back down. Exactly, yeah, you could look at it like that. It's just the way you call it and how you use it. And as you can see here, so the move above here would be a nice area of interest, because then we move above an area where there has been a lot of interest or a lot of rejection. But like, some people use the daily open as support or resistance, and some people use the Fibonacci as support and resistance. And I think I agree a little bit with Oscar there, or I agree with Oscar there about like everything basically is. Because if you're looking for a long, you want price to bounce off a certain area, which is support, and if you short, you want price to reject off a certain area, which is resistance. But understand it as if we talk about support and resistance areas, that it's just an area on the chart where price has either rejected off a lot. And I think that's why I like the fixed range volume profile, because if you then have a certain move, let's say I was looking at that ARB trade, right? If you want to know where in a certain move the most volume is, as you can see, this is the point of control, so this is the area with the most volume, but we need to have it, of course, on the entry. Then you can see that it bounced off the lower support and resistance, and then the area with the most the area with the most volume on this move, we got through there, and then at first we bounced from there, but now we got back below. So yeah, there's different ways to use it. Hopefully it clears it up a little bit for you, Claire. So yeah, we'll keep doing what we're doing, right? We'll keep looking for setups, and we'll keep trying to teach you here and there stuff, so you can help shape your own journey. And as you can see here, Bitcoin doesn't, not every coin does always move with Bitcoin, because as you can see now, initially I took ARB when Bitcoin was basically showing a downwards move, and now you see Bitcoin, a little bit moving up, while ARB is just, hovering, and honestly really looking to see if we can get this touch here. That would be definitely something to keep an eye on, because it is already a 3-bar reversal that gets retested, that never retested, and now gets retested. We have a fair value gap here, so we're now in the fair value gap. So the move down here and the reclaim, that would be an option to see. But again, this is something to really form. It would take like the next hour or so, because we want the 3-bar reversal itself, of course, is 45 minutes. And it could be, of course, the candle after this. This candle closes in 2 minutes. Well, we just have to keep an eye on. And that's what I then do. So in 15 minutes, I'll come back to the chart, go through all the coins, and then see, okay, is there something forming? And for now, I think there's nothing much more than what we had seen this morning. As you can see, okay, this is a 3-bar reversal forming, but it's in like middle ground in well, no man's land. My own indicator, mate. My own indicator. The one that I've been developing over like the last couple of weeks. There's no indicator for that, no public indicator. It's my magic. Thank you. You can see here also, but this is not a 50% candle, so no doji. Well, but coins showing a little bit of strength down there. But again, for me, you know what I say, we need to get back above that 15 to 200 EMA to see. And well, Monday's always like, well, we'll have to see how that pans out and how it plays out. Turbo right here. See a double top, but we now have this move back down. If we draw a golden pocket from the low, it just broke down of that. And again, so like you could say here, okay, we're above the 200 EMA, we're above the 50 EMA, we're in the golden pocket, just below it right now. We're in a fair value gap here. What if this retraces or gets back above? Could still be a valid 3-bar reversal, but as you can see, this was a big move. So the question is your risk to reward? How do you say it? Is your risk to reward high enough? Because if you have a big move like this, then 3R, well, that's a long way up, right? And the question is, if we look at the 4 hours, has stopped. So recently this has been the high, so yeah, it takes a lot of strength to see if we get above there. Honestly, Oscar, not much unless it's really like CPI interest rate decisions. But again, I tend to trade like a lot of my trades just play out quickly. So yeah, not necessarily. It's not like I go through the calendar first thing in the morning to see, okay, is this a tradable day or not? But yeah, I do think, honestly believe that if you, and I know you trade Forex a lot, that the impact is way bigger on news than it is on crypto. Crypto mainly moves on the major news events in the US. While if you, for example, trade Forex and you trade Euro USD, you'll also have to take into account the news from the ECB, for example, or any other. If you trade the Japanese yen, you'll need to have, well, news, Japan news, important things. Yes, crypto does move on news, but mainly the big news events rather than the small ones. And sometimes you'll get into a trade and then you'll see an impulse move, say, I was right, and then find out after that it was news, right? So it's yeah, for me it's not, it doesn't add anything to my trades. Well, yeah. And I do think you'll see more volatility on some coins or some Forex pairs on different types of news. So the impact is bigger, honestly. The impact is bigger. So yeah, that was it, guys, for today for me. I'm going to enjoy the weather. I'm just going to sit and stare at my screen all day, I guess. Nah. We'll have other stuff to do. Going on holiday this weekend, so need to prepare myself accordingly. Going 2 weeks, so I won't be doing the live sessions, of course, after this week for 2 weeks. but we will still be trading, and I will still be putting out signals if I find the right setup. Because I'm on holiday and probably don't have much to do else than reading books and staring at my phone. So nah, but nah. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll have everyday session this week except for Thursday. The rest of the week I will just be here. Go enjoy your day, your days, and we'll talk again. We'll talk again tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye bye. Ciao ciao.